It is my favorite conversation to have every single year heading into the hockey season. Not who is going to go out there and score the most points, not the defenseman who is going to have the best impact on his team, not the guy who's going to come out from a shadow in the slums and revive his career after being seen as a bum by NHL fans. I want to talk about the Rookie of the Year to be for 2022-2023, and in order to facilitate this conversation, we're going over onto The Athletic, because what Scott Wheeler did was he made a rankings list, actually, of the top 10 prospects that he feels could challenge for the Calder Trophy, the award given to the said top rookie of the NHL season. Let's go over onto his list and actually look at the names that are listed from 10 to 1. What I wanted to do here was just give a brief summary of each of these guys and just have a good conversation in general about what it would take for them to win the Calder, as well as the likelihood of them being able to achieve that. Starting out with number 10 here on Scott Wheeler's list. By the way, the article will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and see it yourself. It is 18-year-old center from the Seattle Kraken, Shane Wright. Now, circumstantially, Wright probably should not be too high on this list, which is why he's listed here at number 10. We'll get into why these circumstances really prohibit Wright from being a top-tier rookie candidate as the video goes on, but the former first overall touted pick went fourth this recent NHL draft, and he had himself what a lot of people would describe as a down year in the OHL last season, getting 94 points in 63 games played. It's written about in the article, but Shane Wright is more than likely fed up with everything that's gone on, and it's more than likely that he's not going to want to settle for another OHL season where he plays at the World Juniors, he does all the things again, etc., etc. He wants to make the Kraken this season, and he wants to be a good player for them. So, he is the 10th ranked prospect on the Calder rankings because of it. Going over to the 9th overall player, it is the San Jose Sharks' William Eklund, drafted back in 2021, 7th overall. Eklund spent the last season's worth of play in the Djurgården's SHL system, getting 14 points in 29 games. He then ended the year off playing with San Jose, getting 4 assists in the 9-game sample that he had over here, and heading into 2022-2023, if he's able to make the Sharks full-time and showcase everything that made him a top-tier prospect in the first place, his slick angles, his offensive IQ, his motor, his overall ability to create points, and open up play to make offense happen, if he's able to translate all of those assets into the NHL right away, then he could be a very legitimate Calder contender. And there's no reason to believe the Sharks won't give him that opportunity. They're a pretty bad team in general, so getting a guy like this available to you next season definitely is a plus. Going over onto the 8th ranked prospect for Calder eligibility, it is New Jersey Devils forward Alexander Holtz. Taken a year before William Eklund, also at the 7th overall spot, this Swede is a completely different type of player. While Eklund goes out there and playmakes, he passes, he creates space, etc., Alexander Holtz snipes the lights out. This previous season, he had 26 goals and 25 assists in 52 Utica Comets games, under a point-per-game player in his first full American Hockey League campaign. Definitely not bad. He played 9 games for the Devils, getting 2 assists, but for next season, we'll see whether or not he starts the year out in Utica once again, if he makes the New Jersey Devils squad, if he plays with a guy like Jack Hughes, for example. Holtz and Hughes could be an absolutely lethal pairing as time goes on, if Holtz really fills out the ceiling that he has, which could be as good as being a 40-45 goal scorer in the NHL. Who really knows? If that all comes next season, though, he could be a pretty good Calder candidate. The 7th overall prospect for Calder eligibility is Jake Sanderson from the Ottawa Senators. Now, we had talked about Jake Sanderson a few videos ago in the Ottawa Senators, prospects update video, whatever it was, and Sanderson is an absolutely mobile, gifted, big, offensively caliber defenseman who plays very well in his own zone too. He's a good two-way guy, and if he makes the NHL right away, and he shows off what made him so special with the North Dakota Fighting Hawks in the NHL straight up, he's going to be a very good force on this blue line very quickly. And when it comes to defensemen winning the Calder, obviously we know that this usually just means that they score a lot of points. Moritz Seider was not a bum when it came to his point production in his first NHL season, and the same could be said about Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, all these other guys that qualified for the trophy right away too. So for Jake Sanderson, he's really going to have to find himself a spot on a blue line that already has some pretty good talent like Thomas Chabot, etc., and really force himself onto one of those power plays if he wants to have a chance at sniffing the Calder Trophy this season. But Sanderson's good enough that I think he definitely has the skills to do that. Moving over onto the number 6 guy, you want to talk about skills? Hey, let's talk about Kent Johnson, the savior of the Columbus Blue Jackets? Who really knows? He was taken 5th overall in 2021 last year, and as we talked about with William Eklund, Kent Johnson is an absolutely dangly guy who could go out there and absolutely wow your pants off with Michigan goals, beautiful through-the-legs dekes, passes that will make you go ooh and ah, and hopefully he's able to go out there and replicate that level of success with the Blue Jackets straight away. He played 9 games with the Blue Jackets this previous season, ending off his sophomore season with the Michigan University Wolverines, where he had 3 points in 9 games over there. He also was a point per game for Team Canada at the Olympics, and under a point per game for Team Canada at the World Championships, not to mention the fact that he was over a point per game for Team Canada at the World Juniors. Kent Johnson has just shown off extraordinarily well everywhere he's gone ever since wrapping up his freshman year with Michigan, and heading into the NHL next season, I mean, the sky really is the limit for what Kent Johnson is able to do, both long-term and short-term this upcoming year. Moving over onto the 5th best name for Calder eligibility, it's the Buffalo Sabres' Jack Quinn, a guy taken a little bit earlier than the previous guys we had talked about. He's a 2020 draft pick, 8th overall, who had played most recently with the Rochester Americans in the AHL. There he was one of the best players, straight up, in the entire league, getting 61 points in 45 games played, 26 goals, 35 assists. He was also a point per game with the regular Sabres when he made that squad at the end of the year. And for Jack Quinn, I mean, he is so talented. Great shot, great passing, good on the boards. This is the type of talent that a Buffalo Sabres squad is really going to give the opportunity to excel next season, because they saw everything he did last year and they were like, yeah, no, this guy's legit. We need to give this guy an opportunity. And if he's going out there, maybe getting 40, 50, 60 points even in his first NHL season, I have no doubt he will at least enter the conversation for Calder Award greatness heading into the end of 23, but you have yourselves a few names in front of him that might have a little bit more of an easier time getting that done. Starting out with the 4th overall prospect on Scott Wheeler's Calder ranking list, it's Cole Perfetti of the Winnipeg Jets. Now, Perfetti was an absolute superstar in the OHL. Absolute stud, 111 points in 61 games played. He had made his presence known with the Manitoba Moose immediately after being a 26-point in 32-game guy, while also being a point per game for Team Canada at the World Juniors. This recent season, though, barring a few injuries, he was still a point per game player for the Moose, while also getting 7 points in the 18-game sample he had in Winnipeg, too. Cole Perfetti is an absolute wizard. He is one of the smartest prospects in the entire hockey system today. He can read plays, he can dangle, he's skilled, he can score. Cole Perfetti is just an all-around offensive dynamo, and it's why he was taken so high in the 2020 NHL Entry Draft. The Jets kind of do need some more forward support, and that conversation has been happening a ton throughout the summer, so Cole Perfetti is a guy that definitely should be given that opportunity to maybe fill that hole as soon as next season. And if he does his job well, hey, him finishing in the top 3 of Calder voting is not out of the realm of possibility. Going over onto the 3rd name on the Calder eligibility list here, it's Mason McTavish out of the Anaheim Ducks system. Now, I know we had just made a video a few weeks ago talking about the World Juniors, talking about Olin Zellweger and Jamie Drysdale and how good those guys are. But Mason McTavish was the guy who stole the show at the World Juniors as a 19-year-old too. He's got 1 more year of World Junior eligibility, and he already had himself a showcase where he had 17 points in 7 games. My goodness, he was absolutely phenomenal. He also made the Anaheim Ducks earlier at the start of 21-22, got sent back over to the OHL, had 47 points in only 29 games, and then had the same showcase that he had at the World Juniors. There was an Olympic Games stint thrown in there as well. Mason McTavish is on top of the hockey world, and he won all the awards at the World Juniors because of it. Heading into 2022-2023, the Ducks, who probably do need some forward help of their own too, will probably give McTavish all the free rein alongside of Zegras to potentially do whatever it is the heck that he wants. Moving over onto the top 2 now, this is why Shane Wright might have a tough time breaking into the Calder conversation, because above him on the depth chart is yet another rookie the Seattle Kraken had in Matty Beniers, 2nd overall pick in the 2021 draft, who played 10 games with the Kraken to end off 21-22, and he had 9 points in that stint. My gosh, Matty Beniers is so gosh darn good. He is so smart, so responsible, such a good two-way centerman who could produce points like crazy as well. He had 43 points in 37 games last season with the Michigan Wolverines, and he's already proven so far in his young NHL career that he can tango with the best of the best in the National Hockey League. He's going to have a great time in 22-23, just eating up the Pacific Division, and the guy that went above him in the 2021 draft, Owen Power, is ranked as number 1. He is pretty much doing the same thing that Matty Beniers did, except as a defenseman, he had 3 points in 8 games in his limited Buffalo Sabres stint at the end of 21-22, but he was a point-per-game D-man with the Wolverines as well. So whether or not the Sabres go out there and give Owen Power some time to shine alongside of guys like Rasmus Dahlin, etc., that's really going to dictate what happens in the Calder voting as the year goes on. But talk to the comments, let your thoughts about these names over here: Shane Wright, William Eklund, Alexander Holtz, Sanderson, Johnson, Quinn, Perfetti, McTavish, Beniers, and Owen Power, and how Scott Wheeler ranked them for the Calder in 22-23. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj rolls 99, and bye.